I saw a statistic recently that really just stopped me in my tracks. In England and Wales, back in 2021, the suicide rate for men was 3 times higher than for women.
3 times. It's staggering.
Yeah. And we all know the headline, right? Men are less likely to seek help. But the question is why? We tend to blame, toxic masculinity, but a 2026 study suggests we might be fighting the wrong enemy entirely.
It's so much more nuanced than the buzzwords we see online. We're looking at a great study here from the University of Essex by Horton, Schermerhorn, and Hanel, and they surveyed nearly 500 people in the UK to really map out how these masculine norms actually affect mental health.
And their big finding is what? That toxic masculinity isn't the direct problem.
Not directly, no. It's not the barrier to seeking help we all assumed it was.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because toxic masculinity gets thrown around as this catch-all for any bad male behavior. But this study, it's very precise. They're not saying masculinity is toxic.
No, not at all. They make a really clear distinction between what they call adaptive masculinity, things like, being independent or athletic, which are generally healthy, and toxic masculinity.
And the toxic side is what exactly, according to them?
It's the over-exaggeration of certain norms. They boil it down to 3 main pillars: this relentless need to win, maintaining power over women, and a really rigid heterosexual presentation.
That last one, heterosexual presentation, that's not just about attraction, is it? It's more of a performance.
It's absolutely a performance. It's that disdain for anything that seems feminine or gay, and that leads right into the core concept of the study, which they call restrictive emotionality.
Which sounds like the academic term for boys don't cry.
That's the playground version, yeah.
Mm.
It's actually much deeper. Restrictive emotionality is this belief that you just shouldn't express any feelings, not just sadness or fear, but joy and affection too.
Wow. A total emotional lockdown.
Complete lockdown. So in their first study, they found what you'd expect. Men who score high on toxic masculinity, dominance, aggression, also score really high on this emotional lockdown.
Okay, that makes sense. But here's where it got weird. When they looked at actually seeking help, specifically for suicidal thoughts, that toxic masculinity score,
Yeah.
it wasn't the predictor.
That was a shocker, right?
Yeah.
You'd think the guys obsessed with power would be the ones refusing help. But statistically, their score on the toxic masculinity scale didn't directly predict whether they'd seek support. It worked through something else.
The middleman.
A middleman, exactly. The data showed a mediation model. The toxic masculinity norms lead to restrictive emotionality. And the restrictive emotionality is the actual wall that stops them from calling a doctor or talking to a therapist.
That is a massive distinction. So a guy can be super competitive, even hold some of those old school views, but if he hasn't fully bought into that emotional lockdown, he might still reach out.
Precisely. The need to win isn't the barrier. The silence is. It means if we just attack masculinity, we're missing the real target. We need to focus on the inability to articulate emotion.
And the study also threw a wrench into the gender part of this whole conversation. We always frame this as a problem that men create for other men.
Right, but the data didn't totally support that. They found that women endorse these norms too. While men did score higher overall, plenty of female participants also upheld these standards for men.
So it's a societal feedback loop. A partner, a mother, they can unintentionally reinforce that same be tough message.
It's a collective norm, not just a guy problem.
Okay, let's get to the anomalies in the data, because this is where my brain kind of broke. The study says that men with high toxic masculinity scores are way less likely to ask their partner for help.
Yeah, because in that worldview, relying on a partner, especially a female one, is seen as weak. It flips the power dynamic they're trying so hard to maintain.
Okay, that part I get. But, and this is the wild part, these same men were more likely to seek help from a religious leader. Why is a priest a safer person to talk to than your own wife?
The researchers have a theory. They suggest that many religious structures actually reinforce traditional masculinity, the patriarchal father figure. It provides a very specific, almost authorized space for vulnerability.
So confessing to a father in a church doesn't threaten his masculinity in the way that admitting he's struggling to a partner does.
That's the idea. The help-seeking is happening inside a hierarchy he already respects, not a partnership he feels he has to dominate.
That's incredible. So if we put this all together, the real enemy isn't being a man. It's the emotional cage. It's the restrictive emotionality.
And the idea that only men are the guards of that cage. This study shows we are all, to some degree, maintaining it.
Which leaves us with a really tough question for you, the listener. The data is pretty clear. It's not toughness that's killing men. It's the silence. So no matter your gender, just think about it. When the men in your life show even a crack of vulnerability, how do you react? Are you building a safe harbor? Or are you, maybe without even realizing it, reinforcing that silence? Thanks for deep diving with us.